So my think tank report for today is the French Colonial Empires, and that's plural because there's two. So the first French Colonial Empire existed for 314 years, from the 16th century. They didn't give an exact date, so about 314 years, to 1884. 1814. The Second French Colonial Empire existed for 146 years, between 1814 and 1960. It started to expand in the 16th and 17th centuries, at least colonially, with the colonizations of places in India and Indochina areas, as well as North American colonies in southeastern Canada and the sort of middle United States, not like Kansas, but more like Missouri, Kentucky area. But during the Napoleonic times, due to their wars with Britain, Portugal, and Spain, they lost almost all of their colonies. But what's interesting is that France, as well as occupying those areas back home in Europe, they also occupied Prussia, which is now a place in Poland, northern Poland. They occupied parts of a little bit I think a little bit of modern-day Germany, all of Belgium, and all of the Netherlands, as well as part of Italy and Sardinia, which they still have today, which is the tiny little part above Corsica, which is next to Italy in the Mediterranean, and also parts of Italy by Milan. And so in 1830, after the Napoleonic Wars, they began to focus their colonialism on Africa, beginning with the takeover of Algiers, now Algeria. Then they colonized what is now Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, which was in Indochina, which is it's in between Indonesia and China. That's why it's called Indochina. As well as supplying materials to France from the colonies, the French also tried to spread Christianity in the French language. That's why in Africa there's a lot of people who speak French. After Napoleon III in 1870, the French Empire had Madagascar, most of West Africa, and parts of Indochina, as well as some Caribbean colonies by Haiti. So this is in 1870, but after the First World War, the French occupied Syria and Lebanon, as well as the other colonies. During, and I think I skipped over this part, but during the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon sold most of his North American colonies, thinking that he could take Mexico back, and that's where Cinco de Mayo comes from, thinking that they could eventually take Mexico. He sold it to the U.S., which was the Louisiana Purchase, in 1803 to fund the war and stuff. So they occupied Syria and Lebanon after the First World War because the Ottoman Empire collapsed and they had previously occupied those areas. But in 1959, after the Second World War, the French's colonial treaty thing to keep their empire intact just wasn't gonna work, and they had to dissolve their empire due to revolt and humanitarian strikes and stuff. And they were controlled by a monarchy for a lot of the time for the First Colonial Empire, but after that, it became a republic, and yeah, done.